Hey, it's Jordan. Delighted to be joined by Mike Burlingham. He's in Portland, Oregon, and he is one of the workers at the Nabisco factory there that is striking. And Portland, Nabisco, by the way, makes Oreos and other things that we probably shouldn't be eating. But Nabisco, Portland's strike actually is now spreading like wildfire to other Nabiscos in Virginia and elsewhere. So start with when you joined Nabisco, and was it was it a good work environment, good benefits, or was it bad from the start? Like, what was the evolution?
Sure. I started work in 2007 with Nabisco here in Portland, Oregon. So I'm approaching 14 years. And it was always a good working environment, I would say. I mean, it is a good middle class job. And the people who work there on the union side, represented by the BCTGM, we tend to stick around for quite some time. We have individuals that put my 14 years to shame. The longest tenured person that I work with has been there for 55 years. So that just goes to show that yes, it is a good job. In years past, we've negotiated for fair wages and good benefits. So that is what this fight is all about, is maintaining what we currently have.
Got it. And what is the main? Because we've seen strikes in Alabama, Kansas, South Dakota recently. Are you guys striking mostly for better working conditions, better pay, better benefits? What's take people inside what you guys have been dealing with in terms of the company?
Sure, absolutely. Like I just said, this is our fight is really to maintain what we have. We're dealing with a company who in 2020 had a record year, and they classified us as essential in the very beginning, but we lost that title at some point during 2020. And even though they did very well during the pandemic with everybody staying at home and buying snack foods, the way they want to show their appreciation is through takeaways through us. So, well, what does that look like? They want to have higher healthcare costs out of pocket to us. They want to change our work hours to make it an alternative work week. They want to get rid of our Monday through Friday, and when we have to work on weekends due to high demand, they want to eliminate that premium pay that we get currently. So how they want to do that is they want to implement an alternative work week. They want us to start working 12-hour days mandatory. So our 8 hours now turns into 12. So that cuts into your personal time now. Anybody such as myself who has a young, more time that I'm spent at work and not at home with my kids. So they want to make the weekends as part of our regular schedule where it's paid at regular pay. They want to eliminate all overtime as much as they possibly can. So those are two of the bigger issues. That on top of in 2018, they stripped our pension away from us, and they did so without negotiation. So we're in a battle right now. We're trying to save our pension. We're trying to save our benefits. And like I said before, that this is just to maintain what we currently have and what we've given up in the past already to have what we have today.
Right. And no, Nabisco is not some poor, struggling company. I mean, profited significantly during the pandemic. I mean, revenue increased by 3% to
Hmm.
26.8 billion. That's 26.8 billion with a B.
Yep.
Um, revenue last quarter was 6.64 billion, increase of 12% from the previous year.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is, some companies, if you look down in the Alabama strike, uh, the coal mining company was going bankrupt several years ago. So their workers made concessions to help the company, you know, live under
Right.
the agreement that when things improved, our salaries, benefits will go back to what they were and, better. But this is not that. I mean, this is a company that's doing exceptionally well and wants basically to do better by taking away, overtime, things like that.
They want to take away from the people that helped make them profitable.
Right.
If it wasn't for us in the factories and the people in the distribution centers getting the products on the shelves, then there would be no record profits for these guys. So even though they've done exceptionally well, like you have just stated, they still just want to take.
Right. And also, I mean, I've heard this BS before. I heard this from General Motors when they let off 15,000 people. But Nabisco says, these changes are to create, quote, setting up our U.S. bakeries for future investment and long-term success. Well, how can that be if it's shut down quite a few of its bakeries all over the country? I mean, I would read future investment and long-term success in expanding, but they have shut down quite a lot of its bakeries.
They have since 2014. 3 U.S. bakes shut down, and there's been massive downsizing that's taken place in between. 2014, we saw the shutdown of Philadelphia. 2016, we saw Chicago cut half its size. 1,200 workers went down to 600, and those 600 jobs went straight down to Mexico. The company at that time basically said, you are going to accept these concessions so we can invest into your bakery, or we can invest that down in Mexico. When they refused to take those concessions, they were true to their word. So they closed half of the bakery and sent 600 jobs down to Mexico. This year, they announced very early on the closures of Atlanta, Georgia, and the closures of Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Combined, that's another 1,000 workers who are now out of work. So that is another point that we're fighting for right here. Is we want guarantees that production is going to stay here in the United States. So the company has refused to give us any kind of written commitment on that.
And also, I mean, I've spoken with other workers, but my assumption is during the pandemic, demand went up, work hours went up, while
That's
you were
right.
risking your lives, and you have kids, so obviously you don't want to get COVID and bring it home to them. Can you talk about? I mean, you guys probably risked yourselves to make them that profit, even more so during the pandemic.
Well, for just like anybody out during that time, you're putting yourself at risk. So quarantining wasn't necessarily an option for us. So we showed up to work every day. We were as careful as we possibly could. We did everything the company had asked. Mandatory mask wearing, washing hands. We did all of that, and we did fairly well, at least here in the Portland bakery. So people were still showing up to work, and we had to meet demand. So that did mean more weekends that we are working. That also means longer days as well.
Mm. And I want to bring this into a broader context. I'm not trying to get into politics, you like who you like, but I see this happening everywhere where there's this narrative fed to us by the media that the economy is roaring back, jobs are coming back, build back better, whatever. I mean, it happened under Obama too, during the Great Recession, and things are getting better and jobs are coming back. But like this kind of stuff's been happening forever. I mean, literally for the last 40 years, as corporations, frankly, bought our government, and corporations, they could do whatever they want, including squeezing as much juice out of the orange at the expense of you. So, like, what is your response? When you see this narrative that the economy is roaring and things are getting back to normal. I mean, obviously, COVID is roaring as well now, but the
Mhm.
job numbers and the narrative that things are getting back to normal, while it's not just Nabisco. I mean, Amazon, coal mining companies, Frito-Lay in Kansas. I mean, I'm hoping there's gonna be other strikes. Is this normal? Are things going back to normal?
Uh, yeah, I would say it sometimes feels like an uphill battle. especially like you said, you got corporations that are in the pockets of government officials, and we on the local level, we sure seem to be getting a lot of support here in Portland, but on a grander scale, it does seem like a lot of things favor corporations. That's true. So I like to say that this isn't just our fight. This is a fight for the American middle class, and we want to keep that intact as much as possible. And so, educating yourself on where your food is coming from, where things you're buying is coming from, support Made in the USA. When it comes to Nabisco brand, it's very simple. We have a check the label campaign that we did a number of years ago, which it's very easy. You flip the package over, and right where the barcode is, it's telling you where that's made. If it says made in Mexico, we're asking, please try to avoid buying those products. Buy American made. Support our jobs and support the American middle class. It's worth saving, because it's not just us. It could be you. It could be your kin. It could be son or daughter that eventually is going to be working that job, and you want them to have something good and to be proud of.
Right. And last question. I mean, I look at this as all things are connected. Obviously, it's about you and your colleagues' individual circumstances there. But I assume you guys have been paying attention. Workers are striking in Alabama and Kansas, Amazon workers in New York trying to organize. Has kind of this resurgence. I mean, for a long time, there was not one strike across the
Mm-hmm.
country from workers. How has the other strikes happening elsewhere influenced you guys?
Well, I would say, it's good to see people are sticking up for what they believe is right. And, it's probably been a long time coming, and we're all hitting a breaking point. And especially, there's been a long buildup of this happening, like I said, since 2016, when we sat down at the table for the first time with Mondelez, the parent company of Nabisco. It was very apparent then that we were dealing with something different. So it's been a long time building up, almost like a pressure cooker. And it just got to a point where we needed to take action.
Right. And how could people get involved, support you guys, learn more about what you guys are doing there in Portland?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, check the label. That's a big one. If you're buying Nabisco products, check the label. Make sure that it is American made. And right now, we're asking, while we are out on strike, avoid buying Nabisco products altogether until we can come to a fair contract with Mondelez. Any way that you can get the word out, if you can share on your social media, talk with your friends, talk with your family, just the word of mouth is huge.
Thanks, Mike Burlingham, a worker in Nabisco for Nabisco in Portland, 14 years. We'll stay on the story. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.